Before we jump into today's episode, we have a fantastic opportunity. We're looking for 3 people who want to get next level results in the next 90 days, who are tired of where they are and want to get to a level they've never been. We're going to work one-on-one with you to optimize your training, to optimize your nutrition, as well as your accountability and planning to help you get 5 times the normal results you've been getting. So we want to get you crazy fast progress in a really intelligent and sustainable way by optimizing your journey, as we have thousands of others. So if this is you, go ahead and DM us right now on Instagram saying the keyword results to @ColossusFit, COLOSSUSFIT. Now into the episode. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Fit, Healthy, and most of all, Happy podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house.
And today we're doing the big one. We're doing how to become self-disciplined. You might look at yourself right now and say, I'm kind of disciplined, or I'm not disciplined at all. I have no control. Don't worry, we're going to break it down in this episode and we're going to do a nice deep dive. So get prepared to learn all about this topic because we're really going to jump into it. And I want to start the episode by saying, I think all of us, if you say you're not a disciplined person, that's a lie. You wouldn't have got to where you are without some metric of discipline. You may not be where you want to be, but I promise you, no matter what, even if you feel like you've done nothing in your life, there's things you've overcome. You've learned to stand up, you've learned to walk, you've learned to navigate some degree of school, I'm sure. You've learned how to dress. There's a million things that happen, and I'm sure, like most people, if you're like me, you get bursts of motivation. You're just fired up. You can do it for a bit. You're on fire for a week, 2 weeks, and then something pops up that begins to fade and you're not where you are. And just know this is totally normal, and this is the main distinction here. Motivation is one thing. Motivation is amazing. It's just us being inspired intrinsically, who knows why, just on a whim. But discipline is us doing what's hard even when we don't want to do it. And when you see really successful people or people that are just out crushing it, they may be more lucky, they might be more gifted, that may be true. But most oftentimes, there's quotes for a reason. The harder I work, the luckier I get. Being really successful, being at a great point is just doing those things that are hard when you don't want to do them. Truth is, when I don't want to go to the gym, what do? I go to the gym. When I don't want to eat healthy, what do? I eat healthy. And the reason I'm able to do this is because I have discipline. And I'm not going to say I'm perfect. I mess up. I make mistakes. You'll likely make mistakes too. But by using the tips in this episode, you'll find that you'll be able to get better and better with it over time. Discipline is like a muscle. The brain is like a muscle. It just takes something. And like I said, if your personality, if your identity isn't being a disciplined person, don't feel bad, because just take baby steps and you'll find your way there. Like I said, I've not always been there. I'm not perfect, but I find that I'm constantly getting better and I'm progressing. So I just wanted to start by saying that, because that is the big thing. And in today's episode, we're going to go how to do that so you can have long-term success in your training, nutrition, relationships, overall health, all of it, because we want you winning in every area, because this is indeed the Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast. Okay, so now that we're done with that motivational rant, let's get excited about learning with my first tip, which is to know that discipline is very easy when you set clear goals. So one of my biggest tips here is it's easy to set goals for a day, a week, a month, but where most people go wrong is they already fail with horrible timelines. If you say, I want to achieve whatever it is in the world, let's put anything. If Kyle wants to learn to drive a race car, if he says he wants to do that in a week, you might look at him and go, I don't know, that's going to be really hard. He's probably not going to want to do it. He's not going to know where to start. But if he says, I want to be a great race car driver in 18 months as opposed to 18 days, he's going to have more of a chance of success. Maybe he'll start figuring that out. He'll go to the racing sims. He'll get an instructor with a real car and start working around the track in a slow car and advance forward. And he may not be a race car driver in 18 months, but he's going to be so much further than he would if he had this ridiculous goal and then didn't start it at all. So even taking those baby steps, even if we might not get to that goal, when we have good, exciting goals and we have better time frames, it's easier to achieve them. Now, if it's something actually more realistic, like being fit, and there's less of a barrier to entry, because the amazing thing about being a fit and healthy person is you don't need to be rich. You don't need to be in an amazing socioeconomic situation. Of course, there's more privilege if you can afford a gym membership, healthier foods, but a lot of the time there's so many factors we can control. We can go out on walks, we can drink lots of water, we can take advantage of these things, we could work out in a park. There's always ways to get this done. So by setting good goals and just taking those little bites into achieving them, it goes a long way. I mentioned before how for me, Not a big 5-year goal person. I'd rather set goals for the day and the week, but instead I reroute that by, I really like monthly goals. And for me, if I want to lose 10 pounds, maybe in the month I'll say, okay, a pound a week is a good rate of loss for me. So I want 4 pounds at the end of this month. So instead of my goal being lose 10 pounds, where it's going to feel like I'm never getting there, in that month I can say, I need 4 pounds. Then I can break that down further. I need about a pound a week. And maybe the first week I lose 2 pounds. I'm like, oh, sweet, I'm a little bit ahead. That's motivating. Or if I'm a little bit behind, I need to say, hey, I can do better. I can achieve this. And it makes it more bite-sized. You can just keep breaking that down to little bites. So I do 5-year goals, even though I don't love them. I do yearly goals, I do monthly goals, weekly goals, and the daily objectives. And that might sound ridiculous and like a ton of work, but I promise you spend 20 minutes just sitting, thinking, you'll start to have some outline of what you want to do. And I find this just makes it way, way easier, and it's going to set you up for success.
Definitely. Even some people who say, I may not have time for this amount or whatever it is that I'm looking to do. Take a look at your screen time. There's some people who will scroll Instagram for hours, but then when it comes down to this little bit of planning and action and stuff, it's easy to say you don't have time for it. So just a little call out there. I know some people out there like that. But number 2 is just making sure that you go in with a plan. And even if you do happen to have to pivot, it's a lot easier when you know what it is that you're looking to achieve. I love the famous quote, hope is not a strategy. And I think it's just so game changing. But those who are the most disciplined are the ones who go in with some sort of, strategy, some sort of game plan. If you happen to be going out to eat, looking up that menu in advance. For our most successful clients, pre-logging the day, the morning of, the night before, even just planning your gym times. The best change that I ever made years ago to help with my discipline was just to use my Google Calendar and put everything in. I know where my time's going. Yeah, there's going to be times where I change it and we were supposed to go biking and then we end up going rock climbing or whatever it is. But honestly, just it helps so much having that structure, because when I look at my calendar, I follow it. I do what it says to do and I don't question it. Even for me to build up the habit of reading, I used to just put it in there, and I still do actually, but I put it in there to hold myself accountable, to push myself to actually do it and make sure to have that plan, have that strategy, and that will help you a ton.
That is a great tip, because reading is an awesome one. I've wanted to read so much in the past. I've always been, okay, I'll get little bursts where I'll read books here and there, but it was never consistent. And for me, I always assume, I'm going to read sometime after my workday, like after 3, I'll find a time. I never did. Every day I'd be like, I should do this. I should do this. And that instantly would make me feel like a failure, because I'm like, every day I'm not doing this thing I'm set out to do. But the problem isn't my willpower towards reading. It didn't make sense. But by planning it, now what I do is I go on a walk. As soon as I come back from that walk, I sit down and I read for 15 minutes. This isn't absolutely insane. It's only 15 minutes, but it helps me get that habit, helps me hack through a book. Another thing I do now is I have a Kindle. No blue light, which is awesome. I read before I go to bed, and I try to get to bed like an hour before. So I'm already doing like an hour and a half of reading, and that's like on an off day. Oftentimes I'll be able to do a lot more. Maybe I'll have time in the morning, I'll do more. And some days I do read in the afternoon. But by me doing this, it makes it a lot more realistic and obtainable, because the morning and night are the times we have the most control in. The middle of the day is the time we have the least control in. And that brings me into my next tip, which is identifying triggers that break you from your stride, from your momentum, from your progress. And a good example of that is being disappointed in yourself by having unrealistic expectations. If you just say you want to eat healthy and you have no metric to determine what healthy is, you're going to fail, because the second you have something bad, you're going to be like, oh, I've already been a little bad today. I've already cheated and may as well have 6 donuts as opposed to 1. Whereas if you're logging things and you're tracking, you can have a clear identification of how you're doing. You can take that a step further and you can pre-log. One of the favorite things I love doing in the morning on my to-do list is I'll start to put in my food for the day. Things can change. I could log one place I thought I was going with Kyle for lunch. It could be closed. I could go somewhere else, but I just delete it. I put something else in. But by having that first plan, it's so much easier to pivot into a new one than having no plan at all. Hope is not a strategy, like Kyle said. Another really good trigger is just saying, I'm going to go to the gym today. When are you going to go to the gym today? Where are you going to go to the gym today? What are you going to train? It's just so easy to put it back. Things pop up. A friend's call, your parents need something, you get stressed out at work, you just don't feel like it later in the day. So instead, if you're like, I'm going to the gym at 9:30, or my day sucks, it's slammed, I need to go at 7 p.m., but I'm going at 7 p.m., you're going to have way more success than if you just say, oh, I think I'm going to go. So doing things like this, and identifying those things that make you break down or fail, going out to a restaurant. If you always crush your diets till you go out with friends, you need to start looking up the menu, pre-logs, maybe set drink maxes, know what's okay for you in that situation. You can go out, do that thing, feel amazing, have success, and not like resent either one or the other, because oftentimes people will go, oh, I'm really resenting the fact that I need to be healthy and I can't go out to restaurants with my friends. This sucks. There's no way to live. And then they'll become anti-fitness, anti-self-health, and they'll have this bitterness towards it. And just the same, the opposite side of that is people will resent going out to restaurants. They'll say, I can never do this. Being social sucks. It's not going to work. It's too much stress for me. No, thank you. Instead, the truth is you can have your cake and you can eat it too. You can do both. It's just about being realistic, setting realistic goals, and that's how you'll navigate life for long-term success. So the more you can identify the things that really screw you up and work to find solutions for them, you'll feel way better, and it's a lot easier to stay disciplined within those parameters.
Absolutely well said. And just jumping into number 4, it's going to be actually practicing self-care, doing things that make you feel good. And the top 3 things here will be just a proper night of sleep, getting good food into your system, as well as getting some exercise in. And it's so much easier to be clear, self-disciplined, just know what you're focusing on and have those intentions when you're in the right state of mind and your energy's awesome. And obviously to do those things, you do have to be disciplined, but once you do them, it makes it a lot easier. We all know those days where you had a really bad night of sleep just a bad night of sleep, and it's going to happen, and then everything else compounds. You miss your workout, you're not eating great. It's going to be so hard. You just throw everything out the window. You say, you know what? But even it's also important on those times where things happen, such as you do have a bad night of sleep, to be like, you know what? I'm still going to be disciplined. Like a lot of it just comes down to our mindset and just playing those little tricks and, working on those switches when you do want to just say, screw it, I'm not going to do it, to just say, I'm still going to make the most of it. So once again, incorporate self-care into your routine. It's going to help you so much with the discipline side of things. And I do believe that it's one of the most important things for sure.
Being in the right state of mind is everything, and even when factors are outside of your control. I remember a while ago I had a horrible sleep. I felt absolutely the worst in the morning. I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? And I made a post on Instagram of all the things I did to put myself in the best state of mind. Sometimes when we're the most overwhelmed is where we need that discipline more than anything, because it gives us something to hang on to. It allows us to take control as opposed to being like going down the rapids with nothing to grab onto. Here at least we're like, okay, I know what I have. I have a line down this whole rapid. I'll be okay, even though there's chaos around me. So that is a fantastic tip. And it's just easier too. Like when you aren't sleep deprived, when you're eating good food, when you're rested, when you're not overstressed, it's way easier to make logical and clear solutions. I find when people are very clouded with stress, they're not focused with sleep, they have too much going on, that's when we'll do extremes and we'll reach for anything that will make us happy in that millisecond. Overspending, overeating, skipping the gym, having too much time just sitting around watching TV. And it can be a very vicious cycle where you're like, I worked all day, I'm so tired, so I'm going to eat bad food to feel good for 2 seconds, but then you feel bad later, you have no energy, you skip the gym, you watch TV, and then the next day you feel horrible that you didn't do anything good. And once again, the cycle goes. So it's really about breaking these cycles, finding these positives, and taking care of yourself. And the best way to do that is to actually make better habits. So if you're really stressed, say this sucks, but I'm going to go out and I'm going to get really healthy good food. So I might have to spend a little bit more than I was, but I'm not cooking tonight, and instead I'm going to get this Greek food. I'm going to get extra chicken. That's something I've been doing lately, is saying I'm going to spend a little bit of money to get that really healthy thing, to have the extra little bit of chicken, because I'm going to feel full, it's good, I get to eat out, it checks those boxes, and I still feel fantastic. So you can work to really eliminate. We spoke about this on a recent Motivation Monday, how Kyle says he doesn't want certain things to be set as a habit, and we can either have good habits or bad habits. And it's really important we break those associations where it's like whenever XYZ happens, I do this bad thing. Instead, we can say, how can I make this into a good habit? An example for me, even, it's easier for me to be disciplined to go on a morning walk when I do that every single day. It's just what I do. I wake up, I go out into sunlight, I get the sunlight, I get the benefit from vitamin D, I get a walk, I get a double down and listen to a really informative audiobook to get inspired and motivated. I'll go home, read a book which challenges my frame of thought, it helps me relax. Then this is all before I've checked my phone and I'm stressed out. Then I'll go ahead and just do my other things. And it's easy for me because that's something I do every single day. I don't have to think about it. I know when I go to the gym, that's easier for me. So it's not about necessarily just becoming more of this crazy hoorah will-powered person, but it's about being more intelligent within your day.
And honestly, discipline to me, for the most part, It's just something you don't really think about. It just happens. And that's the way it should be, especially self-discipline. That's like, just not depending on someone else, but just having it yourself. Just be disciplined. That's what the term is. I got that from Jocko Willink's book. I was actually reading that this morning. Amazing for self-discipline. But just working off of what Josh said, like let's say there's person one who ends up hitting the snooze button, skipping out on the walk because it's raining, not meditating because you're not feeling it, going to lay back down. Like all these negative habits, they're like 0 for 10 to start the day. What's going to happen? Your self-discipline is not going to be there. You're not going to make the right decisions. And this is a little like 5.5 is just like allow the momentum to carry and start it off in the morning. Josh, he doesn't hit the snooze button. He goes on his walk. He does his 15 minutes of reading. He hits his meditation, does the journaling. Like let's say he's at 10 wins, 0 losses. He hasn't lost at all. The momentum's going to carry. He doesn't even have to think about it because he's done it so many times. And the rest of the day is just going to fall into place. Even if something bad happens, it's like, you know what? I've already got all these wins that I've stacked up. And that's really all it's about. But number 6 is just finding different ways to actually hack motivation. There's so many different things, even such as setting up some sort of rewards for achieving certain goals. But honestly, I'd say one of the biggest things is just having accountability and even having an accountability partner. If you and this other person know that you're trying to build up your morning routine, you're trying to stay away from, let's say, junk food or skipping workouts or not going for whatever, find that person in your life, find those people in your life. And it's obviously an amazing place to be for our coaching because we have a Facebook group, we have multiple coaches in there. We also have your one-on-one coach. So even just having that person be by your side to help you become more disciplined, it is something you can do. It will take time, it will take practice, but initially like our goal is to have every single person be disciplined. So that way you don't even have to worry. You show up, you do what's needed to be done. You don't say, should I do it? No, you do it. Like that's what discipline's all about. Make sure if you are looking to get next level results, lose body fat, build muscle, do some incredible things, send us a message on Instagram with the keyword results to our Instagram, which is at Colossus Fit, COLOSSUSFIT. We have 3 spots. We will absolutely take care of you, help you become disciplined, help you get the results you deserve. Anything I'm missing here?
That's it. Thank you for tuning in today. Get after it. Baby steps will get you there. Take these thoughts, apply them to your schedule, and you're going to find you're going to be in a great position and you're going to get better and better. It's something you need to be patient with. It's like a muscle. You'll have good days, bad days, but it's important. As long as you make that effort, you will indeed get there. So thank you so much for tuning in.